and welcome back. So today I got some mildly tragic news that the local Witchy shop in my small town is closing. And it's not due to a lack of business or the panini press. It's just due to the person owning the store having to move to a different area. And it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, if I had, like won a lottery or something, if I had hordes of cash, I would just snap up this little shop and I would just employ my friends like a livable wage and give them health insurance and just make changes so that it was like the most perfect shop. Because it was a pretty great shop. These sort of witchy shops are hard to come by, especially in the middle of the United States where I'm located. A lot of them tend to be a little bit more like maybe woo heavy or metaphysical, maybe more like new age. And we have those shops in town too. And usually they sell, like crystals that are maybe not ethically sourced. And they have, really expensive essential oils, and they probably do like, acupuncture and Reiki in the back. And those are great things to have in the community, but they're just not things that I personally utilize. This witch shop was different. There was like a lot of local arts and crafts. There were some really like overtly witchy books and sort of like practitioner tools. And also the cornerstone of the shop was an herbalist that was able to put together all sorts of different original tea blends. And yeah, there was a lot of like scientific claims possibly being made around said tea blends, but for the most part, their heart was in the right place. And walking into a shop that's mostly blending tea just smells like outstanding. But it really got me thinking, like, if I was to open a witch shop, what would be the perfect witch shop for my particular kind of witchery that I would be able to support, but while still maybe appealing to people who were maybe a little bit more holding those supernatural beliefs. So I sat down and I made a list. So this video is going to be the top, 10 things? 7, 8. Yeah, there's about 10 things in here, but I'm not going to count them down, and maybe we'll do this Jenny Nichols style where there's like no particular order. And the only reason it's a list is because that's just a good way to organize things. Maybe I should have a pencil so I can like check these off or number them as we go. Because I didn't even number these. I just kind of wrote them down as they came to mind. Oh, we're being joined. You're on this list, actually. So the first thing on my list for the perfect witch shop for me and the way I practice would be that it would be on the main street of a small town. So it would have those wonderful like small town vibes. Like, I don't think this kind of shop can sit in a strip mall. Certainly not an indoor mall. Possibly in a funky downtown area as long as it was like above another store or like in the basement of another store. Like that might be acceptable, but really ideally it would be on the main street of a small town. Because absolutely, you have to have people giving you dirty looks as they walk past your shop to get to the hair salon. Like, that's pretty important. Also, because it's in a small town, it's going to have huge front-facing windows, and you're going to be able to decorate for all of the different seasons, like witchy window displays. Of course, there's going to be a big, heavy wooden door, no matter where the location of the store is. And there's going to be one of those old bells so that when you open the door, it's going to have this big chunky sound and it's going to give a good satisfying bell ring. Also, I think it's important that there are really old creaky floors so that when you come in, it makes like loud creaking sounds. And you should also be greeted by lots of different aromas. Maybe it's a little overwhelming in the smell department. Sorry if you're sensitive to smells. And the first thing that will happen is you will be greeted by the official shop cat. Are you going to be my shop cat? He's too mean. It would have to be a really elderly and friendly shop cat. Like, he nips too much. You're getting hair on my notes. So stocking for this is going to be really important. We're definitely going to sell like locally made soaps. All sorts of different bars, like shampoo bars and conditioner bars, different honey blends, of course, lots of different types of tea, and we'll have like hanging dried herbs, and there'll be also crafts from local craftsmen, like weaving, pottery, textiles, things like that. Like that's like a given, right? Now this is something that I haven't seen at a lot of witchy shops around my area. Maybe you have this in a witchy shop in your area, and if you do, I am so jealous. But I wrote down on this list for there to be magical item and magical tool consignment. So you can bring in, you know, that old crystal ball, or you can bring in a big crystal. Well, I guess you guys know how consignment works, but it's just nice because like you can get something for your old item, then you have more ethically sourced practitioner objects, because, you know, like when you buy things new, you don't necessarily know where it comes from, but if it's been used, that's already just a more sustainable way to do your witchcraft. And also in that vein, I would of course sell new and used books. So if you read a book and it just didn't resonate with you, then I would totally buy it back from you. Shh, 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 shh. I can only have one pet in my lap at a time. I'm sorry, puppy. Okay, so this would also be a really important thing that would set us apart from other like metaphysical shops, because a lot of these shops will carry things like CBD oil, tinctures, and also essential oil blends. And I do think that those items do have value, but there's just so much misinformation and like bad science swirling around those items. Like there's just really like incomplete data and really big health claims. And I think that when you're making really big health claims, that can just be so dangerous for your customers. So I would definitely carry those items, but I would have signs and notes and, you know, talk to the customer about what are like known and studied health claims associated with those items and what are, you know, these grandiose unsubstantiated health claims that some of the companies, you know, do make, because they're not always like held to the best standards when it comes to testing their items. Like I said, there's just a lot of big health claims that are associated with some of those items, and they do perform very well as placebo. So CBD is pretty new. The studies on that's pretty inconclusive, but there is a lot of data that says that it may be really great for like a placebo effect. I think that there are actual benefits as well. But something like a tincture and a lot of the essential oil claims like can be kind of chalked up to placebo effect, which, you know, like if it's a successful placebo, then yeah, that's absolutely a great thing. But also there's a lot of dangers associated with things like essential oils, so just highlighting safe use. And then also offering alternatives like, you know, fragrances for aromatherapy and also like oil infusions, things like that. I'm sure that there are a lot of other things that would make my witchy shop like different than a standard witchy shop. And so I'm wondering, what is something that would be in your witchy shop, or that would like, if you walked into a store and it had this particular item or this ambiance that you'd be like, yes, this is perfect. Something I'm really going to miss about my local shop is there was a space for like community meeting so that groups could get together and like talk and have meetings. And they offered a ton of classes and just social things that were always free. And I just think that that was so wonderful for the community to make those personal contacts. And I just think that was so good for the community, and it's going to be really missed. So you have made it to the bitter end of the video. You are part of a very exclusive, very end of the video club. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of gossip as a reward for being here with me. And that is that recently I reached this many subscribers, which I think is a very significant number. And to celebrate, I also got a little bit of a payout from my YouTube ads. And so I reinvested that money back into my channel as merch. I commissioned an artist and we worked together and they came up with a really fantastic design, and I'm going to flash it up on the screen here. Okay. I haven't found a good supply of t-shirts because, of course, it's such a nightmare, because if you want to find something ethically sourced, it's going to be out of everybody's price range. But if you want to keep it in a good price range for people to be able to afford and then include like printing and shipping and everything, then things are like not as ethically sourced. And I want something that people can feel good about and people can, you know, want to wear. So that's been a little bit of a struggle, but I hope to have a pre-order at the beginning of October, and then I hope to be able to get everything made and shipped out before the end of October. So that way we can all celebrate the spooky month, those of us that would like some merch. But I'm pretty excited about that. It's a huge step. It's very ridiculous. I'm way too small of a channel to be like making merch, but I just love merch, and so I was like, I cannot let this opportunity go by. But anyway, that's your little bit of gossip. You'll get a lot more information about that later once I find out more details. But anyway, until next time, goodbye.